In your 20s, life feels like a vast horizon, open and promising, yet also uncertain and often overwhelming. It's a season of potential, where every decision you make seems to echo far into your future. The book Top 10 Mistakes to Avoid in Your 20s gently guides us through this transformative decade, not with condemnation, but with compassion. It doesn't scold the mistakes, instead, it illuminates them like a caring mentor who once stood where you now stand, reminding you that wisdom is not about never falling, but in learning how to rise with purpose each time. The first mistake the book explores is neglecting self-awareness. Many in their 20s live outwardly, chasing degrees, jobs, relationships, without turning inward. We often mistake activity for growth. But without self-awareness, progress is hollow. The book urges us to pause and listen to our inner world. What drives you? What scares you? What beliefs about yourself have you never questioned? Real self-awareness is not trendy self-help jargon, it's a sacred discipline. A young man in the book, always chasing promotions, realized through journaling and quiet reflection that he was not seeking success, but his absent father's approval. This realization changed the way he approached his work and his worth. It taught him that knowing yourself deeply is the foundation upon which a meaningful life is built. The second mistake is fearing failure and waiting for the perfect time. Many 20-somethings are paralyzed by the fear of not being good enough or not being ready. They wait for the perfect job, the perfect idea, the perfect relationship. But perfection is a moving target. The book reminds us that clarity comes through action, not hesitation. A young woman with dreams of starting a nonprofit kept waiting until she had more experience, more funding, more confidence. But life doesn't wait. Eventually, pushed by discomfort, she started small, volunteering on weekends. That step led to connections, then funding, then growth. Her story is a beautiful reminder. It is better to stumble forward than to remain safely still. The third mistake is living for others' approval instead of your own truth. Our 20s are often hijacked by silent expectations, parents who want us to be doctors, society that pressures us to climb the ladder, peers who seem to have it all figured out. But when you live for applause, you lose the music of your own soul. One character in the book was a law student who had no passion for the field but felt trapped by family expectations. After much inner turmoil and a failed internship that pushed him to his breaking point, he left law to pursue storytelling. His family was disappointed, yes, but in time, they saw his joy. The book urges you to ask, whose dream are you living? Your 20s are the best time to reclaim your voice before the noise becomes permanent. The fourth mistake is neglecting your mental and emotional well-being. We often prioritize productivity over peace, ambition over alignment. But burnout is not a badge of honor. The book reminds us that tending to your inner life, through therapy, meditation, or simply rest, is not weakness but wisdom. One chapter tells the story of a young entrepreneur who built a six-figure company by 27, but inside, he was unraveling. Panic attacks, sleepless nights, and strained relationships finally forced him to seek therapy. In healing his wounds, he didn't lose momentum, he gained meaning. Mental health is the quiet pillar of a fulfilling life, and the earlier we respect it, the richer our decades ahead become. Fifth is avoiding financial responsibility. The temptation to live beyond our means in our 20s is strong. After all, we're told these are the years to live it up. But the book gently reminds us that freedom isn't found in things, it's found in choices. One story follows a woman who racked up debt chasing a glamorous lifestyle. It took hitting rock bottom, living paycheck to paycheck with anxiety clouding her every decision, for her to seek change. She learned budgeting, built an emergency fund, and over time, transformed not just her finances but her confidence. Money doesn't buy happiness, but mismanaging it surely steals peace. Financial literacy, the book argues, is one of the most loving things you can give your future self. The sixth mistake is clinging to toxic relationships. Whether romantic, platonic, or familial, the relationships we keep in our 20s shape the people we become. Many hold on to relationships out of comfort, fear, or the hope that someone will change. The book invites us to consider, are your relationships watering you or wilting you? One young man stayed in a relationship that drained him emotionally, afraid to be alone. But through deep introspection and support, he found the courage to leave. Loneliness followed, but so did healing. And eventually, a deeper, truer connection. The lesson is powerful. It is better to walk alone in truth than to be surrounded in illusion. Seventh is comparing your journey to others. Social media fuels the illusion that everyone else is ahead, earning more, traveling more, loving better. But comparison is a thief. It steals gratitude, focus, and joy. The book emphasizes that life is not a race but a rhythm. Each soul has its own tempo. A character who constantly compared himself to a high school friend, a millionaire tech founder, felt inadequate despite his own steady career growth. Only when he unplugged, reconnected with his values, and measured his life by inner peace rather than outer validation, did he feel content. The world may reward speed, but your soul seeks depth. The eighth mistake is ignoring your physical health. In our 20s, we often feel invincible. Late nights, fast food, skipped workouts, it's easy to believe the consequences are far off. But our bodies are sacred vessels, and the habits we form now echo for decades. One powerful chapter follows a woman who dismissed chronic fatigue and poor eating as normal stress. A health scare in her late 20s forced her to reevaluate. She adopted mindful eating, regular movement, and rest, not to look a certain way, but to feel aligned. Health, the book says, is not about aesthetics but about energy, clarity, and the ability to live fully. The ninth mistake is not developing a growth mindset. Many people, conditioned by school and early environments, believe their abilities are fixed. They fear challenges, avoid feedback, and retreat from failure. But your 20s are the ideal time to unlearn that rigidity. One man in the book was told he wasn't smart enough for business. But instead of accepting that identity, he devoured books, sought mentors, and failed repeatedly. Eventually, he built a thriving business, not because he was gifted, but because he was growing. The book champions the idea that your future is not predicted by your past, but by your willingness to evolve. And finally, the 10th mistake is forgetting to be present. In the rush to build a life, we often forget to live it. The book ends with a tender reflection on how quickly the 20s pass. There's a poignant story of a woman who, at 30, looked back on her 20s with deep regret, not because of what she did, but because of all the beautiful moments she rushed through. Coffee with friends, sunsets on rooftops, laughter in tiny apartments, these were the treasures she had overlooked. The book urges you to slow down, to savor, to understand that joy isn't always in arrival, it is often in the becoming. Taken together, these 10 mistakes are not just cautionary tales, they are doorways. Each one reveals a lesson, a possibility, a chance to choose differently. Your 20s are not meant to be perfect. They are meant to be formative. You will stumble, you will doubt, you will change your mind 1,000 times. And that's okay. What matters is not whether you avoid every misstep, but whether you remain open, honest, and courageous enough to grow through them. The deeper message of the book is one of grace. It tells us that no mistake is final, and no path is too far gone. Every error contains within it a seed of wisdom. Every delay, a divine redirection. And every detour, a deeper understanding of who you really are. So if you are in your 20s, or even beyond, know this, your life is not behind you. It is unfolding, beautifully, even now. Lean into the lessons, trust the timing, and remember, the most powerful thing you can do is not to avoid mistakes, but to learn deeply from them and let them make you wise. In the end, Top 10 Mistakes to Avoid in Your 20s is not a manual for perfection, it is a mirror, showing us how to live with intention, resilience, and authenticity. It's not about fearing your 20s, but embracing them as sacred ground, where the roots of your future take hold.